handmade gift can be so much more thoughtful than one that we buy in the stores. Making a bow tie can be a very unique and thoughtful Father's Day gift. You can personalize this gift using fabric that represents a favorite sports team, a favorite food, a favorite color, a favorite pattern. The options are endless. Sewing a bow tie may seem challenging, but I assure you that it is absolutely easier than you think. All you need for this unique gift is fabric of your choosing, scissors, thread, a sewing machine, or if you prefer to hand sew, you can use a hand sewing needle and thread, and then your bow tie hardware. So with Father's Day just around the corner, I felt that this month's Make It Monday project should be a DIY gift that's easy to give. And I chose the bow tie, and for this project we are using Simplicity S8899. Now don't worry, if you don't want to purchase this pattern, or if you haven't purchased this pattern, you can draft these pieces easily using rectangles. And I'll show you how to do that in this tutorial. So today we're working on Simplicity S8899 View D, the men's bow tie. Now you do not have to buy this pattern. You can draw rectangles to make this, and what you would do, I'll show you what I did first. I did trace my pattern pieces from the Simplicity envelope. So this is 11 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So you'd make a rectangle 11 1/4 inches, then you go up 3 3/4 inches, and then just close off your rectangle. You can add your dotted line here. This lets you know that this piece will eventually be folded in half. This is your center line. You're going to cut 2 of fabric, 2 of interfacing, and then you have notches on both short edges. And this is going to be sewn with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then for your knot piece, you can also construct this. This is 3 1/4 inch by 3 3/4 inches. And your grain line is going to go up and down. You're going to cut 1 of this, and you can use this for all sizes of bow ties, depending on what kind of fabric you use. If your fabric is stretchy, you can use this for just about any size bow tie. If you're working with a woven fabric, and depending on how big you make it, you may want to make a separate knot piece, and I'll show you what I did. So for the original pieces to the pattern, it makes this size bow tie here, and my husband had requested a bigger bow tie, so I just made my own pattern, which is this one here, and still cut 2 of fabric, 2 of interfacing, 3/8 inch of a seam allowance, all that good stuff. On this pattern piece, I did write how big to make my knot for this piece, my knot pattern piece, so you can disregard that. But this piece is 14 by 6 inches, 14 long ways, 6 inches this way. Okay, and my grain line is still going along the long side of the pattern. I did go ahead and construct a knot piece as well, just in case. Like I said, that smaller piece should work because you're going to scrunch that bow tie in the middle, so you really don't need that big of a piece. But again, it depends on how big you're making it or whatnot. And this pattern piece here makes this size bow. Another option for you, if you're feeling a little more creative, if you want to make a double bow, you can use both of these bow tie pieces and just can use this one knot piece. That should work. You can use both of these bow tie pieces to make a double bow tie. And when I say double bow tie, what I mean is, just say like you want to make a bow tie, or you can even make hair bows with these patterns for a little girl or something. If you want to make a double bow, you can use both of those to make a double bow that will look like this. It'll have 2 layers to it. Okay, so let's get into this tutorial. So we're going to start with our main bow pieces. Both pieces should be interfaced, so if you haven't interfaced those pieces yet, go ahead and do so. With right sides together, you're going to fold your bow pieces in half. And pin. Matching your notches. And what you're going to do, and I have to remind myself of this, so I use the pins with the little flag on it, so I remember. And depending on how sturdy your fabric is, you may want to leave your opening just a little bit larger, because we're going to have to turn this out. So you're going to stitch from here to here 3/8 of an inch, here to here using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. You want to leave a gap in between because we will have to turn this out. So you're going to do this to both pieces and then come back here. So now we're going to sew at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance from here to here. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning and the end, and then you're going to stitch 3/8 of an inch seam allowance here as well. Make sure you stop at your pin and leave an opening. If you press a foot, you're going to go to your next spot. Okay, so you should have an opening here, and then you're going to stitch your other piece the same way. So that center line that we had earlier is where we're going to bring this seam line to. So if you'd like, if you didn't already, you can go ahead and make a small snip there and a small snip there. And do that on both pieces. It's already folded in half. Make a small snip and another small snip, very tiny. Okay, so now you're going to bring your seam to the center. Okay, and you're going to take this to your sewing machine. You're going to sew both edges all the way down at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So you're going to sew here and you're going to sew here. And what I do is I do open this up when I sew so that it'll be flat. Okay, so take that to your sewing machine and then meet me back here. So now you're going to sew down both edges with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And if you have trouble finding 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, what I do is I just line my fabric up with the outside edge of the presser foot, and that helps me pretty much stay at 3/8 inch of a seam allowance. So do that on both ends, and don't forget to back stitch at the beginning and the end. Okay, now that we've sewn down both sides of our bow pieces, we are going to turn them inside out like so. This is kind of why I said depending on your fabric, you know, you can choose how big of a gap you want to leave, because this interfacing does make it a little, you know, tighter and harder to turn out. Make sure you push out your corners. And I'm just using these tweezers for my serger. Whatever you use, just make sure you do not cut or go through your fabric. Like if you use the end of some scissors, just be very, very careful. You can also use your pins to do this as well. I'll show you how. Just take your pen, kind of stick it in and pull it out like that. And that will also help you. You're going to do the same thing to this piece. Once you have them turned right side out, you're going to take this to the ironing board, give it a good press, and then you're going to slip stitch this opening closed on both. Now that you've pressed both pieces and you have slip stitched your opening closed, we're going to move on to our knot piece. And what you're going to do is, with the right sides facing, fold it in half, matching your notched edges. Okay, pin at the notches. Now you're going to take it to your sewing machine and you're going to sew down the edge with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure you backstitch at the beginning and the end. Okay, now that we've sewn our knot, we're going to turn it out, turn it right sides out. Okay. You're going to bring this seam to the middle and give it a good press. Now that we have this press, you're going to take your two bow pieces. The side that have the seam, you're going to put those sides together. So that's going to be your wrong side. So where the side that has the seam, you're going to put those together just like this. Then you're going to take your two pieces and just crush them together however you like. Okay, so it should look like that. It should kind of start to look like a bow, and this fabric is a knit with some 3D design on it. It's a little thick, so just bear with me and hopefully you see the vision. You're gonna crush it almost like accordion style, but you don't have to be so intentional. Just crush it the best way you can. So since this does not want to cooperate, I'm just going to use one piece to show you because it's a little too thick. So you're going to crush it like that, just in the middle, and you can see it starts to look like a bow. Okay, now your knot piece, you're going to take your knot piece and you're going to wrap it around with the seam face down, not showing, So you want your seam to be hidden. So the seam side is going to touch your bow, and you're just going to wrap this around to the underside of the bow. Okay? Just like so. Then you're going to take a hand sewing needle and some thread, and you are going to slip stitch this together. Now, once you slip stitch that, you can leave your stitch side here on your bow, or you can put it on the underside. It's up to you. So take a moment to go slip stitch that, and then we'll come back and finish it off. Okay, now that you've slip stitched that closed, your knot should be at the back, and now you have a bow. Let me apologize, because I did say that I was going to show you how to make your own necktie band, but my kit did not come in yet, so unfortunately I don't have the hardware to show you all that, but I will show you with the pre-made straps, and I ordered these from Amazon, and I will leave the link in the description box below. They come 10 in a pack, and I think at the time I caught the Amazon Prime Day sale, and they were like $5 each, but regular price, I'm not sure. I will look for you, but the link will be in the description. So now you'll just turn your bow over to where you slip stitched it closed, with the right side of your slider facing down. You're just going to slip this through, and snap it closed, and your bow tie is complete. You now have a full bow tie. And I know this fabric is kind of thick and it's stretchy as well, so it's kind of weird, but hopefully the fabric you choose will give you a better, more defined bow tie, something similar to this one or even this one. So you have options and choices. Go ahead and make someone's Father's Day a happy one. Now hopefully you've created a bow tie that is just as unique as the person that you plan to give it to. The options are endless, and you can make as many of these as you like. They don't take a lot of time at all, and whoever you choose to give this unique gift to would be very lucky that you had them on your mind. Share your bow ties with me over on Instagram at TruLuv Designs and use the hashtag TLDBowtie. So next month's Make It Monday will go live at 10 o'clock a.m. on Monday, June 24th. And the pattern that we'll be making is the Quince pattern number 3101 by Seamwork Patterns. So get your pattern, get your supplies, and meet me back here on Monday, June 24th. So go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for more sewing content, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep sewing.